Hello, everyone. My guest today is Andy MacMillan. He's the CEO of UserTesting, the leading human insights company. Prior to UserTesting, he was CEO of Act-On Software and COO of products at Salesforce. Andy is from the Detroit area and has a BA from Michigan State University and an MBA from the University of Edinburgh in Scotland. Andy, are you ready to take us to the top?
I am.
All right. You're 4 or 5 months in now at UserTesting. Is that what you expected?
It is, which I guess is thankfully what you're always hoping for as a CEO when you jump into a company, is that it's what you're expecting. But yeah, it's been great so far.
No big surprises, right?
That's right.
Good. That's very good to hear. All right. For people that are not familiar, just give us a quick overview. What does UserTesting do and what's your revenue model? How do you make money?
Sure. We're a SaaS business, so we make money like most SaaS companies selling subscription software. What the platform really does is help companies connect directly with end users, customers, prospective customers, to give feedback on their actual product and service. So if you build an app or a website, you could use UserTesting to reach out and say, this is my demographic, my target audience, and then we give you rapid feedback. So most of the time in about 2 hours, you get a video back of your audience actually use your product and giving you real feedback on what it feels like to engage with your product or your service. And that's what we call human insight. It gives you empathetic, real feedback from a real person.
And you guys, based off my research teams, feedback they've given me, you guys have really doubled down on the word human. And, I'm going to ask the question, there's a lot of upstarts, hot jar, full story, maybe not an upstart and full story, but others that are kind of doing this in a very automated fashion, basically recording sessions from people who naturally hit your website or your experience. Walk me through how you're trying to differentiate from those guys.
Yeah, I think for us, we view it as an and. We think the era of big data is upon us, and that's great. It's really nice to have a lot of data about where people are clicking or what they're doing on your site or in your app. But we also think data isn't a replacement for actually having empathy for what real people are doing. So we have a lot of customers who have a big data strategy where they're using something. You mentioned Full Story as an example. So they might be using Full Story to track all the clicks of the people at their website. But what they also want to do is say, hey, we're thinking about maybe making a change to our global navigation. Let's get some real feedback from some real people we can watch, use the site and hear what they're experiencing and see what they're doing. In fact, I think it was in his most recent shareholder letter, Jeff Bezos of Amazon said, data is not a replacement for the customer. I think that's really what we're trying to do, is bring that human feedback, that human loop back into the conversation. So it's really an and. You want great data. You also want to have empathy and see what real users are going through when they use your site or your app or your product.
And walk me through, you have a lot of different, I imagine, customer cohorts, but on average, what is a customer paying you per month to use the software?
It varies a ton. We go all the way down having individual developers or product people who are using our product, maybe a single developer building an Amazon site, but up to the largest companies in the world. A large company is typically spending anywhere from 50 to a couple $100K on an annual basis to have their UX research team and their designers on our platform.
Yep. And would you say the average is more towards $50 a month across your customer base, or actually no, it's really more enterprise, an enterprise sale at $50,000 ACVs, paid up front annual plans?
Much towards the latter, although we have a mix of both.
Okay, got it. Fair enough. And kind of put this on a timeline for me. I know you just joined the company, but when was the company launched?
The company was actually launched 10 years ago, and it started really as a pay-as-you-go model. The idea that you would have something you need to test it, and you would come to our website and you would pay a one-time fee to have one test run, essentially. And about 4 or 5 years ago, we started having some of the largest companies in the world coming to us and saying, hey, this is really great, but I need to do this at scale. I need to bake this into my process. I need this to be part of how I build and develop product. And that's really where our subscription product was born. And that's just taken off. And so now, a vast majority of the revenue and the focus of the company has been into that subscription area. And that's, kind of how the subscription business was born here.
A consumption-based model, which for you, it's obviously just, I think you're normalizing around the pricing axis, number of videos basically produced back for the enterprise brand you're working with. Some people struggle with this model because then they have to focus by the way, this is a good thing. It forces the focus on every single month driving that usage or that behavior. I imagine you've built that into the software. So it's kind of a no-touch usage model, and maybe there's an exec on it as well, an enterprise account executive or something. How do you drive and make sure that usage stays consistent month over month so you truly do have predictable revenue?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's very true. Although with our product, I think part of what's unique about it is because we're delivering an experience back to our customers where they're watching someone use their product. In many ways, it doesn't scale like a data product scales. You actually have to put the time in to get the value out. So for a lot of our customers, they actually have an unlimited consumption model, what they're paying for are seats, people who can get the insights. And because they actually have to invest the time to consume the insights, that actually helps protect us from, ridiculous usage in an unlimited model, but actually provides a ton of value to our customers because as they run different projects, they can just ramp up and use more of the product really as needed. We do have, as you would expect in most enterprise kind of SaaS models, we have a customer success team that is engaged with our customers and making sure they're onboarded correctly, that they know how to set up and run the studies. We do, like any good SaaS company, we have metrics in our own product to make sure that we're seeing adoption and usage and that people are getting value. And if they're not, we swoop in and help make sure they understand, how to use the product or how to plug it into their process.
And give me a sense of what the team size is today.
We're about 250 people today.
Okay. Everyone's in San Fran or California somewhere?
We've got 2 offices in the Bay Area, one in San Francisco, one in Mountain View. And we actually have a good size office in Atlanta. And then for our larger clients, you would imagine we have a field sales and success teams. We have a lot of people that home office and are near our customers, which I think is really important at that level.
And so of those 250 people, how many of them are part of either the onboarding, sales, or kind of marketing teams?
About 120.
So fairly significant. Okay, that's fairly significant. I imagine that team scaled pretty significantly after your guys' last round. I think it was 45 or something from Excel?
That's right. Yeah, so we've been scaling that, I think, very efficiently and effectively. So we're seeing a really good return on our sales team as well as our success team. But that's right. I mean, if you're going to go to a large, Fortune 500 company and work with them to bring human insights into their process, you do need to show up. You need to be there and make sure that they're going to be successful. And, that's part of what our field team does every day.
And how much, I know you guys have raised, I don't know how much though. How much altogether have you guys raised?
I think we're at about 74 right now. 74. It depends. If you look at Crunchbase, some of it was secondary, so it's always a little tough to map that in. But that's about what we've raised.
Yeah. None since you've come on 4 or 5 months ago.
That's correct.
Yeah. So walk me through, as you come in, you move from Act On, which, they've got, I would say, more of a you guys had there much more of a multi-pronged approach. Talk about, loads of products, bunch of different upsells, ARPU expansion across a SMB customer base. You could argue it's a very different model than user testing, if user testing really is kind of enterprise $50,000 ACV kind of things. What was more exciting for you? Why leave Act On for the user testing opportunity?
I think with Act On, what was exciting was the space that the company was in. I think in marketing automation, really seeing a resurgence of the technology. I'm a product guy by background, so I find that tech to be particularly interesting. A lot of the focus there was actually taking Act On from being really, really SMB, kind of month-to-month contract. What we did was move that to an annual model, started competing much more in the mid-market, competing with folks like Marketo, and really trying to get that company, frankly, kind of to a healthier place, because I think those month-to-month businesses can be pretty tough. We certainly accomplished that. We consolidated the company into Portland, which is where the company was founded. I think it had grown too fast and too low end. And so as we did that, my family was in the Bay Area, so it did make a lot of sense for me to pick up and move to Portland. And what I liked about user testing was this feeling I've had for a long time that a lot of the products even I use in my day-to-day life might feel like there's been good data telling them where to position everything, but it doesn't feel like a good product. It doesn't engage me. I don't enjoy using it. My click data might say I'm in the product every day, but it's not a good experience. And so when I met Daryl, the founder of User Testing, we had a lunch together and he started describing what the product does. And as a product manager, it tugged right at my heartstrings. We actually go out and get real feedback from real people to have better experiences. And that's really important to me. I think where we have failed sometimes in Silicon Valley is how do we make technology work well with people, not just with other technology? How do we make that it really engages the end user? And so having a product that does that, I thought was an incredible opportunity. So I kind of couldn't wait to join once I met Daryl. And
where do you see most of your growth coming from over the next, call it 6 to 12 months? Is it expansion into your current accounts, new product lines to upsell into? Where do you think the expansion is going to come from?
Yeah, it's 2 areas. So the first area is what I would consider kind of our traditional market space, which is UX research teams and designers, people that are using a product like an Envision or an Adobe XD and they're building prototypes and they want to go test those. That's really been our core audience to date. And we're continuing to see a lot of acceleration in just that strategy being adopted overall by product teams. You'll hear things like design thinking when you go to a product conference, which really means, get those prototypes out there early. And so I think that market is going to continue to grow for us. The second,
sorry, Andy, does that mean, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but before you go to number 2, does that mean you're going to add new customers in that segment? Or you think you can grow the teams that you have 5 people from one company using, you can grow that to 50 people?
Well, that's actually what's amazing is both of those are happening. So we believe that the leaders in customer experience today, ones that are winning markets, Those companies are continuing to invest in customer experience, and so we're growing rapidly inside those companies. Their competitors are seeing what they're doing and realizing they're losing customer experience, and then they're reaching out to us, and we're growing in those accounts as well. So we're seeing both significant logo growth, and we're seeing significant growth within the logos we're at already. We see pretty massive expansion inside our accounts. When I joined, just in my first quarter, we had a large, Fortune 50 company where we started off in one department, and we're in the process of doing a ULA with them to go across 28 departments. That's just grown organically.
What are some of those departments?
So both of those are happening. It varies a ton. We see people doing product research. So if you have different product lines within a large company, often different groups will take up doing real product research at different points in time. We see a trend with this design thinking model of actually trying to embed UX research teams into product squads. So we saw this happen a while ago with the quality team. It used to be had centralized quality control, and then we started putting the QE team in with the devs. Well, now we're starting to see UX researchers and designers embedded with those teams. So as more teams embed those resources, those become great opportunities for us. We're also starting to see the use of the product expand, where people are finding, frankly, other use cases where they want to put their customer in the center of a discussion, which is kind of actually, frankly, leading into that second point I was going to make, which is we have a lot of customers who use our product, and then almost like a productivity hack, they realize, hey, this is a really great vehicle for getting feedback on things like a prototype or my application, but I also just sometimes want to talk to customers. And so we found that product teams and marketing teams were signing up as customers, even though we weren't really marketing to them, especially marketing teams. And they were using our platform to do things like conduct a focus group, even though so they weren't testing a prototype or doing a usability test per se. They were asking someone, hey, give me some feedback on this concept. Take a look at this slide. How does it make you feel? And so one of the things we want to do is expand our product portfolio to go meet that demand more head on, speak to that audience with our product and with our market messaging. So that's part of the expansion we've seen in these accounts that we have already, where customers are saying, hey, you marketed your product to do A, which was, usability and design research, but we're using it to do all these other things. We're doing a voice of customer program. One of my customers has an executive team that every month, every executive for 30 minutes has a call on our platform, a virtual discussion with an end user of their product. And they just ask them, how's it going? And what are you doing with the product? And what do you like about it? What do you not like about it? We didn't design it as a voice of customer platform, but it's a really good use case for our product and for what our panel provides. So, I think that's a really big opportunity for the company. It really speaks to that human insights concept, but it's not just about design feedback. It's about any place that you want to put your actual customer in the middle of a process, a conversation with people that meet your, prospect or customer demographic.
So Andy, let's circle back to that in a second. I have some other questions there, but whenever you have healthy expansion revenue, you've got a shot at net revenue retention being above 100%. Have you guys hit that? And if so, how far above 100% are you?
Yeah, we go up and down between about 115 and 117.
Pretty healthy.
Really positive net retention. I will add, and this is one of my hot button issues as a SaaS CEO, I actually think there's significant room to grow that higher. And the way we're going to grow that higher is by not focusing on net retention, is we're going to focus even more on gross retention, which is, to me, every customer that spends $1 with us should get more than $1 of value out of the product or service that they buy from us. And I think if we focus on that, all the expansion comes with it. And so one of my big goals is to continue to see improvement on our gross retention number. And I think that even drives net retention higher. So we're a company that believes net retention is really important to a SaaS company, but I'm a CEO that believes the focus of a SaaS company should be gross retention, not net, and that results in even more upside.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, there's two layers to the net revenue retention onion. One is expansion, which can cover up bad gross, right? So you're just saying expansion's already healthy. Our bigger opportunity is to make gross even stronger. Peel back that onion for us right now. What is gross, like, churn revenue for you annually right now?
Yeah, we're at about 84% gross retention.
That's not horrible either.
Yeah, especially because we still have a large number of SMB customers. And I think that segment's just naturally tougher. There's more acquisition, expansion, companies that go out of business. Like SMB is just naturally a tougher space, whether you're, Salesforce or you're a, tiny SMB SaaS company, always have a challenge in the SMB segment than in other places. But I think that's a really big opportunity. And that's something that, I have found repeatedly, when I speak at SaaS conferences and things like that. One of my big areas of CEOs to think about the fact you don't want to incent your post-sales team on net retention. Let your sales team go sell the upsell. They're the sellers. You want a post-sales team that gets up every day and just says, my job is to make customers successful. My job is to make customers get value from what we're doing. And so we frankly haven't been lined up that way. We've made that change since I've joined, and yet we still have very good gross retention numbers. So I think there's a lot of upside for us to even do better there.
Yep. Few last questions on economics, and we're running out of time, so we'll go quickly through these. But talk to me in terms of a CAC. What are you willing to spend to acquire one of these new customers in your enterprise cohort?
Yeah, I'm a little more liberal on this than most. I'm willing to spend $1.50 to $1.70, but all that's based on this idea of having really high gross retention.
Yeah, and just to be clear, you're willing to spend $1.50 to $1.70 to get $1 new of ARR?
That's correct.
Yeah. So break that down for me, payback period wise. That you're happy. I mean, that would be pushing what is 18-month, 20-month payback period in some cases.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Interesting.
And again, that's because if you can retain those dollars closer to 90% plus have significant net retention, right? If I'm going to retain that at 90+% and I'm going to sell 30 to 40 more cents on top of that over the first year or two, I think that's a very reasonable CAC, but you really have to have that gross retention and that upside potential for that to make sense.
Yep. And it makes sense.
Which thankfully we do here.
It sounds like you've got predictability in terms of adding another 30 or 40%. If your gross retention is 84% and your net is 115, it sounds like your expansion there is a healthy 35, 36%, right? So that's good.
Right.
The numbers work. Last question here. Give me a sense of growth. So you joined 4 or 5 months ago. Between the end of 2017 and the end of 2018, what percentage do you hope to grow by?
Around 40%.
Okay, 40%. And how do you back into that number? Is that you setting it, the board setting it? How do you get that?
That's the number I inherited joining, but it makes a lot of sense. I spent a bunch of time with the co-founder before I joined, really getting to understand the plan. If I didn't like the plan, I would have changed the plan. But frankly, that was a slightly conservative plan because they knew that they were going to go through this leadership transition. It was something that our co-founder, he actually led that process. This is his second startup that's gone more than 10 years. He wants to go do some more social good in the world and controlled this process from the beginning. In fact, he had controlling interest of the board, more or less, when he kind of made this decision. So they put together a fairly conservative plan, and we seem to be now beating that plan. We beat our Q2 plan by about 20%. We're on pace for our Q3 plan. So, feeling pretty good about making those numbers and grow the business.
And how many customers to date?
We have about 3,000 customers.
Oh, 3,000. Okay, that's I read when they did the press release for you joining as CEO was 35,000. So is it 35,000 users but 3,000 paying customers?
It's 35,000 if you think of the long tail of the SMB space and the pay-as-you-go customers. It's about 3,000 in the subscription business, which again drives the bulk of our revenue. We still have a pay-as-you-go business where people can come and sign up for a $50 test. It's not really our enterprise product, but I still think it's very valuable to make sure that we're servicing those kind of entrepreneurs and people that are starting an app or a business.
Yeah. Okay. Got it. That makes perfect sense. So just to be clear, those extra, call it 33-ish thousand, those are people paying, $49 a month for 15 videos.
That's right.
I see.
That's right.
I see. Got it. Okay. And then 3,000, that's really true SaaS. Very good. And last question.
Yeah. I give that number specifically. We don't come on and say, look, our average, customers, an enterprise customer paying us a couple $100K a year, and then so we have 35,000 customers. I think, people listening at home would do that math and think this doesn't all add up. So 3,000 in that subscription base, 35,000 is kind of the long tail of smaller companies that use our product, which is great too. I think that's an important part of the SaaS business model. Yeah.
No, I did that math and I said, I'm in the wrong business. Andy's cranking 125 million bucks a month. Something's not adding up here. So this makes more sense. Can you give us a general sense of ARR range you're at today?
Yeah, we're between 60 and 70 million in ARR.
Okay, that's healthy numbers there. And do you think you'll break, call it 80 by the end of the year?
We'll be close. We'll be close.
Very good. All right, let's wrap up, Andy, with the famous 5. Number 1, what's your favorite business book?
My favorite business book is The Goal by Eli Goldratt.
Number 2, is there a CEO you're following or studying right now?
Mary Barra of General Motors.
Number 3, what's your favorite online tool for building your business besides your own?
I'm a Google Inbox fanatic. I'm really hoping Google doubles down on that product because I love it.
Number 4, how many hours of sleep are you getting every night?
About 6, but it's probably a rough number because I have a 2-year-old, so I'm up pretty early most days. 1
kid or more?
I have a 9 and 7-year-old boys as well. I have a 2-year-old little girl.
Ooh,
3 kids.
3 kids. Married?
Yes.
And how old are you, Andy?
41.
41. Last question. What do you wish your 20-year-old self knew?
I wish my 20-year-old self knew that I was not as wise as I thought I was and to get a lot more experience at that age with my eyes a little bit more wide open.
Guys, there you have it. Has a lot of experience in SaaS at scale, coming from Acton. Joined UserTesting in 2017, actually just a couple of months ago here in 2018, but the company UserTesting was launched in 2008, really driving human-centered insights, right? You put up a project, they'll go through a flow for you. You get to watch them, hear them, they give you great feedback. Now serving over 3,000 really enterprise customers, 33,000 there in the long tail, doing between 60 and 70 million bucks in terms of ARR, hoping to grow about 40% year over year between the end of 2017 and the end of 2018. They've raised 74 million bucks. Economics underneath are super healthy. 84% gross revenue retention annually. That's 115% on a net basis. So healthy expansion, which allows them to be aggressive with CAC, paying up, $1.50 to call it $1.70 for a new dollar of ARR, which puts payback period in the 19-month range. Has a team of about 250 people, 120 sales, marketing, onboarding, based between San Fran, Atlanta, and other remote locations, especially the inside salespeople that are out on the road. Andy, thank you so much for taking us to the top.
All right. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.